Hey y'all, Michelle Raza here with the Finding Yourself Book Club, and today we're going to talk about John Gottman's What Makes Love Last. We've been talking about when to know when it's time to go, covering the different dimensions that Gottman talks about. Before I get started, please do check out our website. We're at www.findingyourselfsatx.com. There you can fill out our life balance questionnaire and submit it to us. You can also just fill out a contact form and we'll be in touch. Sorry if you can hear my dogs eating dinner in the background. I apologize. And please do like and subscribe if you get a chance. It really does help us little YouTubers. So without further ado, I will go ahead and get started. How to know if it's time to go. Dimension number 4, glorifying your struggles versus flailing in chaos. Couples who describe their relationship history as chaotic are usually unhappy in the present. They don't tell stories of pulling together or learning from their negative experiences. There's no sense in their descriptions that their past troubles and conflicts strengthen their mutual trust. Life and the relationship just happened to them. You can see this chaos in the exchange between another newlywed couple whose relationship did not survive. Interviewer: how did the two of you meet? And what were your first impressions of one another? Lenny: we met at a party. She was nice. Wendy: yeah, we didn't talk much then. Interviewer: and then? Lenny: she moved in with me the next week because there was a fire in her apartment. Interviewer: wow, that was fast. How was that decision made? Wendy: I just had to move somewhere and he said, well, okay, you can stay here for a while. Interviewer: and your impressions of him? Wendy: he was okay. Nice, I guess. Interviewer: then what happened? Lenny: her mom got cancer and we decided to move up there to Wisconsin to take care of her. Interviewer: that's amazing, you both did that. How long had you been together at that point? Wendy: about a year. Interviewer: how did you decide to do that together? Lenny: I don't remember. Wendy: it just kind of happened, like the fire. Lenny: yeah, just like that. Here's another couple who derived no insight or meaning from the hardship of being separated geographically. It created distance between them, but they didn't work to counter that. Travis: I think it was easier for me than it was for you. Rona: yeah, suddenly I'm at a new job, a lot of pressure. I'd better be good. Travis: it just happened and I have to adjust to it. She's not around, so in order to sort of not feel so bad about the relationship, her not being there, basically you try to minimize the relationship to where you don't even think about it. You have to almost bring yourself to a point of ambivalence about the relationship. Rona: your relationship is completely stagnated when you're separated like that. There's no movement forward. There's no change, there's no growth, there's nothing. Interviewer: how did you make such a hard decision to be apart? Rona: it just sort of happened. And then you're in this holding pattern and you talk once a week and you do these emails. Travis: and you have to adjust, You start to emphasize, you start thinking about the more negative things. Rona: that's what happened, all right. In contrast, happy couples express pride over having survived difficult times. They glorify the struggle by emphasizing how it strengthened their commitment. They believe they steered their own course together based on their common goals, aspirations, and values. They have built a system of shared meaning and purpose. Whether couples display this positive energy when recalling past hardships is not at all dependent on the depth of the difficulties they faced. How they interpret the negative and positive events is the key. Here's a happy couple who married at 18 because she got pregnant. The pregnancy was a crisis for both of them, yet they stuck together. It wouldn't be surprising if such a life-changing event and the hardships that followed led to a lot of unhappy memories. But because their marriage satisfies them both, their story of us switch rests firmly on the on position. They express pride in their tenacity. Randy, Joanne was 4 months pregnant when we got married. Interviewer, so did you think you had to get married? Oh, Jonine, no, not at all. Randy, I think it was more of me respecting Jonine. I don't think it was well, you guys have to get married now. He emphasizes his respect for his wife at the time. Jonine, and I think it was kind of protective, right? She remembers him protecting her rather than resenting the burden. They talk with great enthusiasm about their shotgun wedding, even though their families both decided not to attend. Randy, it was an awesome wedding. Jonine, yeah, we had a beautiful wedding. We got married in a gazebo. Randy, there was a boat, all decorated. But once the baby was born, life got tough. Jonine, I think it was probably a lot harder for Randy because he'd been used to kind of being such a free spirit and doing so many things on his own, and having the responsibility of a family was just a humongous change for him. Randy, yeah, I accepted my responsibilities at home, but I don't think I was there a lot. Looks at Jonine. Jonine, he accepted them. He never had a bad temper. He'd never, done anything really bad, but he'd come home drunk almost every night. If their life together was not happy in the present, it is unlikely that Jonine would remember Randy's behavior at the time as not really bad. Jonine recounts that they fought so much early on that she wanted a divorce, but the couple don't spend much time recalling that possibility. Instead, they focus on how they worked it out. They decided to move to Utah, where they knew no one. Randy, we really needed to get out of there, away from my friends, and that's what we did, and that changed things a lot. We were forced to be together. Jonine, and we had to kind of rely on each other a lot. Randy, pull each other to make it through. The couple talk with pride about how they worked together to save their relationship. Interviewer, so tell me about becoming parents. Apart from everything else, what was that like, having your son? Randy, it was awesome. It was awesome. Jonine, I think that's probably about the only thing that we agreed on in the beginning of our relationship. Excuse me. Hold on. Ooh, I almost choked on my own spit and died. I think that's probably about the only thing that we agreed on in the beginning of our relationship. Randy, yeah, how we do things and what he needed and didn't need. Jonine, I don't think that we ever fought over issues of raising our son. Interviewer, so your values were very similar. Randy, yeah. Jonine, and despite Randy's partying and stuff, he was a wonderful father. It was certainly a good experience having the baby. A happy couple's tendency to glorify past struggles is most obvious during their oral history, but you can find it in subtle form in other discussions that are not focused on the past. These partners, part of another study, are in conflict about their work schedules. One is a harried architect, the other a graduate student. Although this issue challenges their relationship, they talk with ease about their history together and how they handled this situation, with more success in the past. Even though this is a negative conversation, their positive history is still evident and bodes well for their future. Daryl, 7 years ago, although we battled over your working Friday nights, it was like the roof came down and everybody understood that this was a calamity if our weekends got interfered with. And then slowly, over the years, that's gotten eroded, and then you went to school. Jeff, what do you mean it got eroded? Daryl, well, all of a sudden, we just kind of got used to the fact that sometimes those weekends were going to get eaten, and it was no longer the crisis that it once was. Jeff, right, and then the issue came up when I started practicing, because that ate into the hours that were available for us. Daryl, yeah, I remember having conversations when you started where we agreed that you were going to keep your nighttime commitments to one night, maybe 2 a week, absolute max. The first year, we figured out how to make it work. The second year, it was 2 nights a week, and then by the fourth year, it was like, if you happened to be free one night during the week, that was my lucky week. So, if you recall, we're talking about how the way that you recall things, you remember things will change based on your current relationship status. And so couples who are happy with each other tend to recall more of the positives, whereas couples who are very unhappy with each other tend to recall the negatives. And so every couple, if you've been together, if you're living a life together, you're going to have struggles. It's not always going to be good. You're going to have struggles. And once you make that commitment for a long-term relationship, you see each other through those struggles, through thick and through thin. And so whether these couples remember how good it felt to finally overcome the struggles, or whether they focus on the problems themselves as if they were still active, even though they're not, that kind of determines the status of their relationship. So if you're wondering whether it's time for you to go, I recommend taking a journal, writing in it, and trying to remember the beginning of your relationship. And I know we have a few more of these to go. I think there's 5 dimensions total. And so yeah, the next time that we talk about this, we'll do the 5th dimension. But just start remembering, what is it that you remember about when you met, and the good times and the bad times. And then on top of that, you probably want to reflect on your feelings. Like, how does that make you feel? My ex-husband wouldn't like me sharing this, but I'll share it anyway. I remember, when we first met, I didn't know it at the time. But so I lived in this little apartment complex, and there was a little bus that would take us to go get groceries. And I had just moved from Miami to Washington, D.C., and I had sold my car. So I had no vehicle. And I thought, D.C. is this metropolis and I won't need a car and blah, blah, blah. And so I moved into this high-towered apartment complex, and I was taking the shuttle to go buy groceries. And he was outside taking a smoke break, and I got on the shuttle, and then he got on the shuttle. And so I just thought he got on the shuttle like he needed to buy groceries maybe. But he didn't. He didn't buy groceries. I think he walked in and maybe got a pack of gum or maybe an extra pack of cigarettes or something. And just was chatting with me the whole way over to the store and the whole way back. And I later found out he didn't live at the apartment complex. He worked in the store at the apartment complex. So he had no reason to go to another store, because there was like a little convenience store in the apartment complex. And so if he wanted gum or cigarettes, he could have just gotten it from the store, and free, because he worked there. He wouldn't have had to have paid anyway. But he went on the bus just so that he could be with me. And as I think back to that, I mean, it makes me smile, because it's like that expresses a lot of his personality, in the sense that he's an action-oriented. His love is action-oriented, not verbal. But, and that just makes me feel like we had a long and beautiful marriage. It didn't work out, but we had a good marriage. And so thinking back to your memories together, do you have more positive or negative? And so test in point, my ex-husband and I get along fine. We're great. We're actually really good friends. We're not good in a relationship together, but we're good friends. And so I recall the good memories. There's good and there's bad. But if I was like in the middle of the throes of the divorce and angry and not sure what was going to happen, I doubt I would recall that funny moment about him going to the store for no reason. And, so what you recall depends a lot on how you feel about the person at the time, whether you're in a good place with the person or not. So yeah, I mean, test it out. Try it out for yourself. Think about like the other people that you have a long-term relationship, of course, friends, family, coworkers. And I would say coworkers, you probably have a lot of ups and downs, and you also probably can't really express those sometimes because it's like you have to keep it professional. And so you might have some like built up resentment towards a coworker. And so then if you go back and think about all your time together, if you've worked there for a long time, you know, do you remember the office party when everybody laughed and had such a great time? Or are you going to focus on, you know, the time that they, I don't know, stole your lunch out of the fridge or something like that, right? So put it to the test. That would be really cool. Like, what do you remember? How do you feel about somebody at present? And then depending on how you feel, how does that color what it is that you remember about them? All right, cool. I did not mean for this video to be this long. I'm sorry I rambled. But I will see you guys the next time we talk, and it will be dimension number 5, which is the 5th dimension. Of course, dimension number 5, the 5th dimension, the last dimension on how to know when it's time to go. And then we will move on to learning how to trust again, which Gottman calls a life-saving skill. All right, I enjoy hanging out with you guys. If you're here with me, please do like and subscribe, and also check out our website. We're at www.findingyourselfsatx.com. Take care, y'all.